What do you say, boys and girls? Welcome back to Tom's Garage. Today, we're having a yard sale next door. Today, we're working on a Craftsman push mower. Check it out. Craftsman push mower, Briggs and Stratton, 163cc M230. I like those engines, pretty good engines. She is complaining about this thing surging. Well, she said it was sputtering, but let me show you what it's doing. Show you what it's doing. Yeah, I'd say she's running a little rough around the edges there. I bet it's going to be a fuel problem. I'm going to flush the fuel tank, clean the carburetor like I do 25 times a week. And today you get to watch me do this one. So let's get to it. All right, let's get this thing blown apart here, boy. There goes one. I'm gonna go find where that screw at. There it is. Got a nice new air filter in it. That's good. I'll have to give her one of mine. 7mm. The two screws that goes through the air filter housing, 7mm, that goes into the carburetor. And then you got 8mm or 5/16 that holds the filter housing to the bracket surrounding the carburetor. And just like that. I'm gonna go ahead and knock this starter cover off right here. I believe I'm gonna get that fuel tank off. Just three 8mm or 5/16. Now we can get the fuel tank off. It just sits on two little grooves back there. Let's see. Let's do that now. I'm gonna take the fuel tank and the carburetor off as one piece. Make sure there ain't no creepy crawlies back there. It's sure a lot of spider webs. Yeah. My flashlight, man. I don't like creepy crawlies. Boy, they'll get you. They usually hide up under that lip. Anybody in there? And the carburetor will just pull straight off. Take the choke mechanism off without breaking nothing. Governor control, throttle, lever, without breaking nothing. Right there. All right. And then what we'll do, we'll just dump the fuel. She's got this thing completely full. People think they can put fresh fuel in it, but they don't realize all the bad fuel is still sitting in the bottom, whether it had water in the fuel tank or bad gas in the carburetor. And these little O-rings going to go right back in the carburetor right there. Go ahead and put that back together. And the little plastic washer keeper pops right in there like that. You can't get all the fuel out because it's got a lip around this filler hole. So what I'll do is take it to the bench, pull this apart, let it just drain. And then we'll take air and blow the tank out real good. Blow slightly back up through it, clean that screen in here. And let's go over to the old bench. Okay, looking down on the gas that came out of it, Little bit of trash. That probably come off the outside of the tank. I don't see any water. Everything looks pretty clean. Smells fresh. But we're going to find out what's lurking in the bottom of that tank when I drain it. So let's go over to the bench. Go over to the bench. Yeah, I've been watching the Price is Right channel. I can't get that darn tune out of my head. Now let's see what comes out of here at the very, very bottom. See, the water is always heavier than fuel, and it'll always settle at the bottom. Always settle at the bottom. There's still a pretty good bit left in there, since you can't just dump it upside down because it's got that lip. It's aggravating. You just got to take your time, just let it do its thing. There it goes. And there's a little screen at the very bottom down there. I don't know if you can see that well. It is right there. Right there. And that screen is slap full of crud. Full of crud. There's the carburetor. It just leaked all over my bench. So now what I'm going to do is take some compressed air. I'm just going to blow this. I'm going to hold it upside down and just blow it out. Give it a little puff. Don't give it too big of a puff because you'll mess up that screen in there. Oh boy. Now let's see what we got now. Oh yeah, nice and clean. Nice and clean. Don't that pretty? Look at it. Well, another tank's clean. And let's look in the, see what come out of the very bottom of the old fuel tank. Looks clean. I don't see any water at all. That surging may have been caused by all that crud on top of that filter. This thing wasn't getting enough fuel. That could have been one reason it would surge. It's surging because it isn't getting enough fuel. It could be a clogged main jet or anything inside the carburetor too. All right. Pop this carburetor apart. I like to put my hands over the throat of the carburetor so none of this junk goes in. Look at that. Look, it's missing the darn screws. Somebody's been in this before. Look, the bowl's not even on. I'll be darned. Oh, well, I'm surprised it wasn't leaking. I'm going to find some screws now. It wasn't leaking. Let's see what's lurking in the bottom of this bowl right here. It looks pretty clean. I don't see no water. Fresh fuel. Huh. I don't see any water in it. I don't know, it may have a little bit. I think I've seen a little cloud floating around in there. Yeah, it's got water in it. See how cloudy it's turning already? Give it a minute to let it, yeah, so you can see the bubbles. I'm gonna set this pan aside for a few minutes and let it separate. See what happens. Let it separate. Now I need more pan. Here's an old ice cream bowl I cut. I'm using it, low profile when I do oil change. But see how it's warped? And every time I drain oil in it, I pick it up and it goes bloop and just bloop. I make the biggest messes using this darn thing. I don't know why it does that. Anywho. And I bet you that little main nozzle, that main jet right there, it sits in the very bottom of the bowl. Sits in the very bottom. That seems to always get clogged. You've got another one here. That one I can see is open. Get my little pokey tool and stick in there. There it goes. It feels like it was clogged. That one's open. So what I'll do, take this and soak myself in card cleaner. Yep. That's perfectly open. Perfectly open. And always run a torch tip cleaner in it, use carb cleaner, and always use compressed air too. All three. But gently with this air, because you'll blow this jet right here out. Good little puff, that's all you want to give it. Any residual water, anything. When you take that out, don't let this little plastic piece back here move on you, and it will. Just like that. Make sure it snaps all the way in flush. And this little divot right here, little indented part, always goes in that direction of this main jet. Just like that. And make sure it snaps all the way down, just like that. All the way down. And if it's not lined up perfectly, you can just kind of twist on it with your fingers. Let me find some screws to go back in there. I always keep an extra carburetor on the toolbox for customers for educational purposes. I can show customers things. So I'm gonna rob the screws out of it. And these are also 7mm heads. And be very gentle because it goes right back in plastic. See, if you're not lined up good, you can just kind of stick this in there and just kind of pull on it, and it'll move that. You don't have to get them things tight. All they do is hold the bowl in place. They don't hold it tight. And that's it. That's it. Now what we'll do, put it back together. Put it back together. All right, now we're ready to move back over to the mower and stick her back on. Let's do it. Okay. Let me get this other fuel out of the way. Yeah, that's perfectly clean fuel. We'll dispose of this properly. Get it out of the way. Alright, throttle linkage is back on there, choke linkage is back on there, and push the carburetor on to the intake tube. Take the fuel tank, stick it back in its slot. Before I start putting it all back together, I'll go ahead and put fuel in it. That way I'll know by the time I'm done if I have any leaks. Put some fuel in it. I just filled this 5-gallon can, man. It's handy. heavy. I don't put much in these lawnmowers. Gas is $3.69 a gallon. That's all you get. I'm not a gas station. That's about a quarter, third full. That's good enough. Now, make sure you hook your ventilation tube back up to the back of the housing. Uh-oh, money. They're calling, they're looking for me. Since I've already got the 7mm on there, I'll put the 7mm back on first. Very gently, man. This goes in plastic. Very gentle. Gently, gently. Now I'll put the 8mm back on there. That bracket is bent. Somebody has let something fall on top of this lawnmower before. I can always tell. Usually this little ring that the starter assembly sits on and bolts to, sometimes that can be bent down, like if somebody let something just fall on top of this thing. I've seen that so many times. Seen it a lot. People that use their stuff, man. I don't care, it's just a lawnmower. But if you've priced lawnmowers, little push mowers like this in the last year, 2 years, something like this right here cost you $400 and something. And then they complain when they got to pay $60 for a service. Well, I don't know. I'll say if it's been 5 or 6 or 8 years since you bought a lawnmower, you're going to be sticker shock when you go and try to look at new ones. Yep. Go ahead and bolt. Well, yeah, I'm not going to bolt this down yet. I'm just going to put it right back in its little slot and just kind of let it hang out. Make sure it runs good first. Might have to change that spark plug too. I may do that, but okay. Let's let her down and fire this thing up and see if we've done any good. Here we go. And she's good again. I quoted the customer, I knew what it was when she brought it in. I knew what I was going to have to do, and I quoted her 45 labor for doing that, which took 14 minutes and 10 seconds, I can see on the camera. That's all there is to it, cleaning the carburetor. I mean, you'll be surprised at the trouble you can have out of a lawnmower, and simply doing that can cure a lot of things. So guys, I appreciate y'all watching the video. Guys and girls, and don't forget about the memberships. We have got a little something in the works. Yeah, I believe we do. It's gonna be exciting. Y'all be good, guys. Love y'all, and I will see y'all on the next video.